Yeah, I'll hand over to Olive. Thanks a million.
Hey, thanks a million, Michal. That's for that lovely introduction. And thanks to everybody else as well who has come along to this presentation. I know it's not easy to do that on a fine sunny evening. So just to introduce myself, I'm Olive Carey, and my background, I guess, is more in the area of archaeology and history rather than biodiversity. But I suppose in the nature of things, everything is interconnected anyway. And I'm just in terms of wanting to give back to the community as well. I got involved in this project in 2016, which is when we started it. So, so I'm a member of the Shannon Archaeological and Historical Society, and also another heritage group in Shannon called Dúchas na Seanna, which aims to protect the natural, cultural, and built heritage of the town and its environs. So, I suppose, as most of you know, Shannon is a new town, and just over 60 years ago, there was no town here. It was a man called Brendan O'Regan who had already started the world's first duty-free at an airport, and he had been asked by the then Taoiseach Sean Lemass to come up with a strategy for keeping Shannon Airport operational when the advent of the jet engine meant that flights no longer had to stop and refuel at Shannon. So he expanded the concept of the duty-free shop and it created the world's first duty-free industrial zone at an airport. So it's in close proximity to the airport, as you can see from this photograph. I put this up because this photograph was taken in the very early 1960s. And you can see really what the elements of Shannon are. It's the runways of the airport. You can see in the background there. Right in the background here, there's the estuary, the Fergus estuary. And then these are the very first advanced factories that were built at the industrial estate there. And then the first accommodation that was built in and around 1960, 61 for the people coming to work at Shannon. So the first industries, of course, there were a lot of foreign industrialists came in. So it was they and their families who initially occupied all of these flats and houses here on Drumgeely Hill. So the town is located adjacent to the Shannon estuary, and its landscape consists of 3 low drumlins, and these flats and houses here are built on one of them. And then all the area...
You want to sit out here? You can sit here.
So the 3 drumlins rising out of the flat landscape, and that would have been subject to flooding prior to the building of the river embankments from the 17th and 18th centuries onwards. So the expansion of the town resulted in extensive drainage of the low-lying areas in the late 1960s and 70s. And together with all of the flat areas in the town, our wetland site was drained and conifers planted to help drain the marshy ground. So the wetland is located, this plan is taken from a 2013 green infrastructure plan for Shannon, which was done by Clare County Council. And it looked at developing the green areas of the town. So if you look up here, this is the now developed town park. At that point, it was still just a concept. This is our wetland area here, and then leading on to the estuary embankments, which have walks all along the top of the embankments. So you can see that the wetland site, it's ideally located to be a green corridor right down through the town. So at the time in 2013, that when this was published, Clare County Council were seeking funding to develop the town park. That was subsequently achieved, and the embankments were undergoing upgrades as well. But there was no talk at that point of developing the wetlands, even though it was included in the green infrastructure plan. So we got together, a few of us, and decided that we could take this project on as a community project. It was in consultation with the Heritage Officer in Clare County Council, Congella Maguire. So Duchas na Shona, who I mentioned are the Heritage Group in Shannon, spearheaded the project to develop the wetlands. We, in consultation with other organizations within the town, we formed a committee with drawing as representatives from ourselves, Duchas na Shona, from Shannon Tidy Towns, from Men's Shed, the GAA, Wolf Tones na Shona, Conra na Gaeilge, Club na Shona, various organizations and interested individuals as well, all came together. So so we started. This is a close-up of what was envisaged for the for the wetland area in that green infrastructure plan. And this pond that's shown here actually didn't exist at the time, but we took this as our inspiration and decided to go with it, and began our, that was late in 2016. So it was spearheaded by Duchas na Shona with the objective of restoring the Shannon wetlands to its original natural state, thus enhancing its biodiversity for wildlife and increasing its recreational and educational potential for Shannon residents and visitors. And these are some of the groups that we draw our representatives from. Now, we were very fortunate that very early on, we met this man, Rory O'Connor, and Rory is the community water officer for Lawpro, with responsibility for Clare, Limerick and Tipperary. And Rory has been our guiding light right from the start. He's supported us, he's helped us with advice, with funding, very importantly, through the Lawpro community water funds. And we are indebted to him for all the help he has given us over the years. So what we saw as the advantages for the town, the enhanced biodiversity and wildlife, the restoration of an area of natural landscape of Shannon before the modern development, the recreational potential, linking it to the existing Shannon Loop, which goes through that town park and onto the estuary walks. The link to the Schlienamara walking route, which is a route that goes through the town, and the Hastings Farmhouse Heritage Site and embankment walks. In an educational way, the outdoor nature classroom, and which we've developed there, and education for the local schools, and pride of place, community building. I suppose not to speak of the just a sense of well-being that there is through being in nature and having having a site like this right in the town. So these were our first key stages. We had consultations with Shannon Municipal District and Clare County Council. Out of that came a commitment to funding for 4 years. We were the recipients of a €20,000 fund over 4 years, paid in €5,000 installments for the first 4 years. We engaged in community consultation events. Now, we really felt that it was important that this be a community project. So while our committee itself was drawn from various community organizations within the town, we held regular consultation events in the community to engage with people, to explain to them what was happening, what we were doing there, to get their input into what we were trying to achieve there, and just to generally get buy-in from the local community into the wetland project. We then embarked on fundraising and grant applications. We were very fortunate in getting some very good grant funding that came to us. We engaged FH Wetland Systems to produce a design plan. We consulted with a hydrologist. It was one of the problems that we met on site, is that we thought that this site that had been original marshland would have a source of water on the site itself. We found that it didn't, so we were left with solving that problem. We then embarked on scraping out the pond areas, and we've created a network of 4 ponds that are interconnected. So when it fills up with water, they fill from one to the other, and you know, they support each other that way. And the establishment of a technical advisory group. So this was the inaugural meeting of the technical advisory group in 2018. Nice cold day at the end of the beginning of December there. And so the meeting, the technical advisory group was set up to facilitate a regular exchange of information and knowledge between the local community, ourselves, and various role players and agencies and the local authority involved in the Shannon Wetlands Restoration Project. And it was to be a forum for discussing and collaborating on the technical aspects of the project. So, so these were the members. We had, at that time, Chris Hughes was the development officer with Community Wetlands Forum, and he came to us that day. The local conservation ranger from the National Parks and Wildlife Service, the local heritage officer, hydrologist from the Science and Biodiversity Unit of the National Parks and Wildlife Service, community water officer, that was Rory O'Connor, Tyg O'Mahony from the Environment Protection Agency, and current members of the Shannon Wetlands group. So we were very fortunate in having all of that expert advice to draw on, and we did do very heavily, especially at the beginning when we were getting everything started. So this is an aerial view of the site, and you can see it is very much an urban site. This is the back of the leisure centre. There's a comprehensive school is just over here. Just at the top there, you can see some of the playing fields from the Gaelscoil. So we have a secondary school and a primary school right on the doorstep there. And this is an area of about 5 acres, and it's surrounded by residential development, as you can see there. So this photograph was taken before any of the development of the wetland took place on site. And you can see the whole perimeter here has been planted with these conifers. and also into the center of the site there as well. So the wetland site, it had never been built on, but it had been drained in those drainage events of the 60s and 70s. But what we decided, this is what we could see on the ground really. That's that line of conifers that were going across the middle of the site, and an area of scrub as well. So we set about I say it was 2018 and 2019 by the time we actually got to creating the pond network, and you can see it beginning to happen here. Some of the conifers are still in situ there. We did subsequently take those down. So this is more of the work ongoing on site. For a while, it was looking very unsightly and worrying. But and here's the first of the ponds in situ there. That's that pond that we just saw on the previous photograph. We since have developed a series of interconnecting ponds with that. So this is a photograph taken from the pond area back up towards the perimeter. So we have left all those conifers around the perimeter. Now, we're not sure whether we need to take those out or not, but we think that probably we will, but we'll be doing it slowly and replacing them with native trees ongoing. So this is some more of one of the ponds beginning to fill up there. What we realized in discussions with our hydrologist that there was no actual source of spring water, or there originally had been a stream flowing down by the side of the wetland site, but at some point back in the 60s and 70s, all of the streams had been culverted, and they just we weren't able to use those anymore. So really, in creating the pond network, what we relied on was the clay underneath the topsoil. It's a very heavy marl clay, and we just did I believe the word is poddling, or something like that, where you compact the clay very hard and then just allow it to fill up. And it has worked very well. We do lose a lot of water in the summertime when it's dry, but the ponds fill right back up in the wintertime again. So, and we are seeing nice wildlife developing there now as well. So, of course, during COVID, all of our activities on site came to a stop, but because of the 2 and then the 5 kilometer limits, the wetlands actually became very important to people in Shannon for walking through and for engaging with nature. And so for Heritage Week in 2020, when we couldn't have an actual event on site, we developed a video that went up on the Heritage Council website, and we won a runner-up as an award in that. So we were very pleased about that. We also undertook some citizen science training in damsel and dragonfly identification. So that was another nice project that we got involved in. All the training was done over Zoom, so it was great. And then we were able to go out and start identifying. Mind you, you have to be so quick, but it was a very nice thing to do. Kutan Nadur came and interviewed us during COVID as well. and they were wanting to, they were producing a documentary on how the lockdown had affected both people and wildlife, and what the effects of it were on wildlife. So here, one of our members, Shannon, is in full flight there. Sean is our Gael Gore, so he was speaking in Irish there, and giving his thoughts about the wetlands and what it meant to him. So we also installed some benches along the walk. Now this footpath follows the perimeter of the wetland site, and we have enhanced it because it was very overgrown and almost barely visible. And then together with the Tidy Towns and the Men's Shed, we installed 3 of these benches. There's 2 of our trusty volunteers, Christy and Jarlath, along the route, and people have really enjoyed those being there and being able to just sit and listen to the birds and look at what's happening on the wetlands on a daily basis. So community engagement has been a feature of our project, as I mentioned, right from the start. And these are just a few of our Heritage Week events in particular over the years. This is one of our volunteers just here, Monica, and she's a beekeeper, and she brought down her display hive there during this event in 2019 in Heritage Week, and gave a demonstration of bees and what bees need and why they would like our wetlands. Again, this is Phelim Harty, some of you might recognize him, of FH Wetland Systems, and he did an event with us during Heritage Week of 2017. We hadn't yet developed the pond network at that stage, but Phelim did a project with us, or a workshop with us of topographical and habitat mapping, and we were able to identify where the best place to put our ponds in was. So here's another event, World Wetlands Day, and this was a consultation with the local community again about wetlands, the importance of wetlands. And after this, we did this in the library, we had the talk and a slideshow there, and then we went out on site to see what was happening on the wetlands. Corporate sustainability. This is volunteers from a company on the industrial estate. They're an aviation company, SES, and they came to visit us and volunteered with doing some cleanups on the site in April. So this was our most recent event then, was World Wetlands Day, just earlier this year, and we had a good event that day. We walked through the wetlands, and again we had Rory O'Connor gave a talk on the importance of wetlands. One of the projects that we're really excited about is our biodiversity workshops with local schools. And we began these in 2021 on a very limited basis, and then expanded them last year in 2022, and we're going to do the same this year. We're very fortunate to have this young man, Micheál Mac Garald. He was on with us there earlier on, but I think he may have dropped off. Oh no, he's there. Hi, Micheál. And Micheál is just brilliant with the kids, goes through a variety of things with them, from bird song identification, plant identification, pond dipping. And when I've gone through here, Micheál may like to come on himself and talk about the workshops. But they're proving really popular with the local kids. These children are from the Gael School, which is right beside us. And then there are various other schools represented here, and what they were doing. These were the youngest children we've ever had. They were a little preschool class of 3 and 4 year olds who came to us one day. And these two girls have been involved in pond dipping there. And Micheál helps them to identify the invertebrates in the ponds there. And this is just an example of one of Micheál's sheets that he uses with the children to help them identify some of the plants that they can see there, some of the features of them, and then the children go off and look for them, and they have an opportunity to draw them as well. So it's very engaging. The children love it, and I think they're learning a lot as well. And this was a group from another one of our local schools there who came to visit last year. So some of the problems that we encountered when we were developing the wetland site. Well, first, I have mentioned already the lack of a fresh water source. Other issues, dog fouling and letting people thinking that the wetlands is a place where they can let the dogs run, let them off the leash and let them run. Some of the residents around the perimeter, dumping of green waste at the perimeter, which we're hoping we'll be able to discourage, and littering and general antisocial behavior. So the webinar that was on a few weeks ago on the authority of the resource, we found was really, really helpful to us. We're in the process at the moment of developing our display or information boards, and we really felt that was a very valuable way of looking at getting the message across about how people should behave in the wetlands. Just an example of some of the littering problem. This was World or National Cleanup Day. Is 2 of our county councillors who got involved with us in helping to pick up rubbish around the wetlands. This was another day that we picked up a lot of rubbish. This is the kind of thing that you can find just lying around, I guess because it's an urban site and there's a good population around it. This kind of thing is going to be inevitable, but we do occasionally, we do periodic cleanups like this with the help of volunteers, and we keep it looking as good as we can. So, excuse me, sorry. So the future for the Shannon Town wetlands. We recently had a strategic planning meeting, and some of the areas that we identified that we need to and could develop, we felt that we need a management plan now to guide the future development of the wetland site. Another issue that we need to keep to the fore in our minds is ensuring the sustainability of the committee. Committees do come together with great enthusiasm and energy, but we need to sustain that and keep attracting people to the committee that will help to work for biodiversity on the wetland. Identify ways that wildlife can be protected and encouraged, and enhanced education through erecting the information display boards. We are going to continue expanding the biodiversity training workshops and also engaging the community in more citizen science projects. And just so that we don't end on a down note, I just wanted to put in a few photos that we've collected over the last few years that really show that it's just such a lovely site. right in the middle of a town, and it's a wild site. You know, it is, of course, it's being managed, and we do maintain it with one cut every year in September. But you know, it's a nice site to have right in the middle of the town, I feel. So just some of the nice photographs that we've collected over the years, and the wildlife that we're attracting there, and some of our dragonflies. Just a nice walk along, and there's all our photographers who have contributed to the photographs. I just like to mention this man again. We saw him earlier at the filming of the Court on Nadur program. Sean, he's one of our stalwart members, and he's just not well at the moment. So I just like to say, hope you get better soon, Sean, to him. So Shannon Town Community Wetlands would like to thank all of our funding agency. So LawPro have been so generous to us. The Heritage Council, Fisheries Local Action Groups, Clare County Council, Shannon Municipal District, Culture Ireland, Local Authority 21, EI Electronics, and Avarma Pharmaceutical have all funded the project over the last few years. So thank you, Micheál, and to the Community Wetlands Forum for this opportunity to present about our project. And thank you all also for your attention. If I'll stop sharing.
Brilliant.
Micheál, if you would like to add anything. Thank you, Monica.
If I add one thing, if that's all right. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Olive, and my apologies for butting in. Just one thing I'd like to emphasize, if anyone else is thinking about, holding workshops or bringing people into the wetlands, is that anybody can do it. Insofar as I'm a 22-year-old who has no educational background in ecology, but I was simply just given the golden opportunity by those down at the wetlands to hold the workshops, and the learning came to me as it was the help with Rory O'Connor and just asking people and bringing together information, and even as an amateur I was able to do it. And one thing I would encourage, if any of you do want to get into this area, is a third level course. It's a level 5 or 6 certificate, a higher certificate called Nature Animation that they hold with MTU that I did, which was essentially working with the NPWS, paid accommodation and a weekly stipend for 3 months, and then 3 more months of learning, and that gave me all that I needed and much more even for these workshops, because I'm living abroad, and something that people often are shocked by and that we don't realize in Ireland is how democratic and localized community initiatives can be, because people are always shocked over here in the Netherlands when they're like, a bunch of local amateurs created a wetlands or all the other things that we're doing with the History Society, and you're allowed to do that by your authorities, because in many other countries it's very much top down and there's no such thing as doing it unless you have a degree to your name. So it's very much just go for it, do it. And if anyone is interested in looking at educational materials, I'll drop my email in the box, so feel free to reach out to me and I'll send you on all my class materials.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, no.
Go ahead, Micheál. I was just saying I'm happy to answer any questions if I can. And thanks, Micheál, as well.
Just to say thanks a million to Olive and to Micheál as well for the input there at the end. Really inspiring. And I mean, you've done so much. I mean, even the pictures, and if just looking at the progress over time, and even the time when I was down there, it's very clear like you've done so much over the years. So which is brilliant. So if there's, I mean, we have a bit of time now, so if there are questions or comments or anything, feel free to, you can put them in the chat or even come off mute. I mean, there's not too many of us, so if you want to come off mute, you can as well.
Hello, it's Ronan O'Boyle here. How you doing, Michael? How you doing? And Olive, hello.
Hi, Ronan.
How you doing? Did we meet before, Olive?
Did we meet at Flagmount?
Flagmount. When
Yeah.
was it, Thurles? But your name and voice is very familiar. But anyway, I just want to congratulate you on personally on the project. It's phenomenal. You've created a nirvana and a dream, really. And the work that you guys have done is just fantastic. I just want to let you know, especially, I think you might have been in a position where you thought, is this going to work? What are we creating here exactly? And so on. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm involved in another wetlands project here, and I'm calling you from East Clare, and the project that I'm involved in is up Sallybank above Truick, and if you know that part of Clare,
Yeah,
and it's in a commercial forest, and this was a project that I initiated as a result of writing a paper and requesting this within the commercial forest. So now we've expanded this here. They're going to roll out 3 or 4 more, and within their commercial plantations. However, still an awful lot to learn. And at some stage, I would love to call round to Shannon. We're not a million miles away from each other, and maybe have a chat and maybe pick your brains a bit more, because there's not enough time here for sure to find out the answers to all the questions that I have.
right.
Well,
Well,
sorry, what's the townland or because I'm from Oldfield, so I'm just shocked I hadn't heard about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sort of kept it a bit on the wraps, Michal. It is Sallybank, Knockshanbo. I don't know if you know up there. So up near Gortnacullen, the National Heritage Area. But if you go up the road beside Truick Church, coming off the 6 Mile Bridge Road, just after the church, up the 6 Mile Bridge Road, and straight up Sallybank. You come over the top down to Broadford, but before you come down to Broadford, it's just there, the entrance to the forest, Quailcha yellow and black bar gate down there, and you'll find it eventually. We're in the process of putting up proper information signs, galvanized posts, and a path, and a visitor area, etc., a bench. So quite keen to see your seated area and that sort of a thing. So we have all that in order. So we're doing something similar, but very different from a perspective that it's within a commercial plantation. We're doing it from a point of view of this was my arguments and the case that I presented to them to, I suppose, listen. We're doing it from a perspective of ecosystem services. So I had to follow quite a steep curve myself to get to the bottom of the research, to have something that is of interest to them, So my objective, I want a habitat for aquatic flora and fauna. Their objective, they need to mitigate the issues that their sector creates by way of pollution and so on, So very interesting. We found that the forestry sector has some really important competencies that are very conducive. So hydrology and water management and so on. Like you mentioned, I was interested, you mentioned about the base or the bed of the wetlands area. And that myrtle or whatever that gray sort of a soil is that you paddle, did you call it?
I think the word is poddling.
Poddling, okay.
Yeah. It's compacting it.
Compounding. Really. We were just blind lucky that because our pond is quite large. It's 40 meters by 30 meters. It's nearly 2 meters deep. And I was thinking, I've just created the biggest hole in Clare. I didn't even know if this thing was going to fill, but it has done. Yeah. Just 2 nights ago in this beautiful weather, I was up filming newts in mid-courtship and dragonflies. It's just, and it was only excavated last April, May. So as you know, things move quickly. Yeah. But I think there's still a lot to learn, and I want to learn for subsequent future projects. So you guys are way down the path. I would love to come around and see what you have done and maybe your plans and your lessons.
Yeah, and I think we can learn from each other. We'd love to come and see your project as well, and we can because we're quite close together, really. So yeah, delighted to have you come at any time, Ronan. And anybody who would like to come and visit, we'll be thrilled to show you what we've been doing and how it's maturing now in these last few years.
Exactly.
Did all
Well,
that
well,
work. Yeah.
same applies to yourselves. If anybody's interested in seeing the pond area, wetlands, we've surrounded the pond with broadleaf, native broadleaf, and it then adjoins or connects onto a nearby stream, which is the source of the Blackwater. And so we're connecting two habitats, the still water with the stream, with this wildlife corridor of broadleaf trees. So I had Rory up at it. Rory and I have had numerous coffee chats, and it was he who designated it as a pristine source for the Blackwater. And you can actually see the difference between the channel flowing into the pond and the channel flowing out. So it effectively acts like a big, massive reed bed, you know,
Right.
purifying the water coming off the forest. So yeah, I would be very happy to give you a tour, or anybody who's interested. We should organize that at some stage. I know, Michael, we were talking about that before, and I was up in Thurles, I think. I'm still very much interested in that. I've gone a wee bit quiet because we're working on the signage and getting the path properly paved and so on. But we'll be ready in a couple of weeks.
Brilliant. No, thanks, Ronan. Yeah, maybe we can follow up on that. Are there any with maybe 10 or 15 minutes left if anyone else wants to ask a question, or anyone else wants to come in with a comment or anything at all? No. If there's no more questions, I'll just give it a second or two just to see if anyone wants to pipe up. But I know plenty of some comments there in the chat, just complimenting you, Olive, on not just the presentation but on the work that you and the wider group in Shannon Town have been doing and are continuing to do. So you've a lot to be very proud of, and I mean it's an inspiration to myself and to others on the call, and I mean it's clearly really beneficial to the wider community as well. I mean, when you spoke about the well-being and the nature connection and I suppose the restoration of the habitat there as well. So yeah, we might just we might leave it there then if there's no final questions or comments. Olive, I don't know if you want to add any last parting words.
Yeah. No, I suppose maybe just to echo what Micheál was saying about, anybody can really get involved. None of us really on the committee have ecological or training of any of that nature. We just felt that this was something that we could do, and as a community, and there's so much help as well out there to draw on, and we've certainly benefited from that. So go for it, as Micheál is saying. Do.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good message to end on, and yeah, I think that's a great message to end on, and that's the power of the connections and the networking, is to remind us, I suppose, of what's possible. So listen, thanks a million again to Olive and to everyone for coming this evening. I will make the recording available shortly on YouTube, and I can send it to anyone who would like it to be sent to. Keep an eye on the Community Wetlands Forum website, communitywetlandsforum.ie/events for our upcoming events. So we have one next week, a conference exploring peatland finance and governance models, and that'll be in Abbeyleix Manor Hotel in Abbeyleix, and we've some really interesting speakers lined up for that, and there'll also be a walk on Abbeyleix Bog as well, and it looks like the weather is going to stay quite nice for that. And then the following day, then on the 9th of June, my colleague Aoife is organising a study visit on Cloncrow Bog and Terrell's Pass, and that'll be another treat. I think Eugene is here this evening from Cloncrow Bog, so where they developed a boardwalk recently over the bog, and that's a fantastic spot. And there's Eugene. So that'll be a great day, and then yeah, keep an eye out. There'll be plenty more events, and hopefully we'll organize some more in-person opportunities for people to get together as well. So yeah, we'll leave it there. But listen, thanks a million again to everyone, and I hope you have a nice evening and a lovely bank holiday weekend as well. So
Oh yeah.
We'll be in touch,
Right.
Olive, hopefully.
Yeah.
brilliant.